All right, now again, this is, I kind of hate these when they come up in the course because I really just want to get to the material as opposed to saying, here's another list you have to memorize. But guess what this is? It's another list you have to memorize. But for the exam, there are a set of things, and it's hard to really memorize, I think, social skills and soft skills. But what they want you to understand are the different types of power, and understanding that not all power is created equally, and again, at different times, you use different types of power. So positional. Positional power means that I take my power from my position. I've been designated as the project manager, therefore I'm the project manager, therefore what I say goes. Positional power. And let me just mention that the document in which I am named as project manager is referred to as the project charter, and we'll get into that certainly later. I don't know if we'll do it today or next class. All right, so positional power means I've been named in the project charter as the project manager, and that's what gives me my power. Referent power, that kind of goes back with charismatic leaders. I'm able to influence my team because of my personality, or it could also include somebody that's related to senior management. They have that power as well. What I will tell you is with referent power, with these types of powers, it's kind of addressing the fact that individuals have power within a project team that may not all be project managers, right? So I might have a lead technician who gets his power from the halo theory because he's an expert. Well, we've already said that's not necessarily the way the world works, and that's not necessarily true. And Dwayne, servant leaders are desired, but really rarely, I'm assuming you're saying rarely encouraged in traditional settings. It's positional. You know, and I think you're right, and it's interesting that, you know, we can all sit in an environment and we can say, well, leadership is better than management, and yet we see the world around us. Often we have so many managers. And I think that that's very interesting that we can all agree upon a point, but there's not a whole lot we can do to change our environment. Well, unless you're at the top of an organization, you really can't change how the company focuses. But what you can do is you can influence the world around you. I can influence my unit. I can be a leader as a project manager as opposed to a manager. And I can do what I can do. Sometimes it's frustrating because you have all this great stuff and say, but nobody will do it. Yeah, but I can go back and do it. All right. So I would just, you know, go through. I will mention that the worst type of power to yield is coercive power or punishment. It's generally not effective to hold threats over people's head. You know what, if you don't do this, you're going to have to work through the weekend. People don't respond well to that. Nobody likes it. It just doesn't tend to work. All right, and again, I'm going to just stress that you need to go through these types of power. I'm sure they'll give you a scenario and say what type of power is Ken yielding in this situation. Okay, and I think we understand pressure-based and guilt-based and persuasive, but do go back and read this because this will be something that'll show up on the test. Okay, guilt-based. The first thing I think of with guilt-based, I think mother-in-law. I don't know how your mother-in-laws are. Certainly not my mother-in-law. She is lovely, just in case she's watching. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and move past the types of power, and we're going to move into really talking about what project management is and what's required of a project manager, and specifically talking about the project management constraints and frameworks. But first, why don't we take just a little break and get up, stretch your legs. If you haven't had my classes before, I am a firm believer in having ridiculous coffee mugs. So today's coffee mug is brought to you by Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. as adorable as it is, it's kind of hard to take a sip of coffee without running into ears or into antler, so I'm not necessarily going to be highly recommending this mug. But let's take 5 minutes, be back at 3:56, and we'll pick up with more information on project management. All right, see you in 5. All right, welcome back from break. I hope you got a little caffeine to get you through the afternoon. We are going to pick up with we're really going to start to get into more of the material of the PMP exam. So we're going to start off with project management. Now, I will tell you, when you see something from PMI in quotes, that tells you that you need to know it almost word for word. So I can totally see a question, what is the definition of project management? And them having answers that are all, very comparable, but one will be an exact match. Same thing with a product. So a project, remember, we talked about it must be temporary, produce a unique product, service, or result. Well, here, project management, and I don't usually read out slides, but I just want to hit this since it is directly from PMI. So it's the application of our knowledge, of course, skills, tools and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. Now that's an interesting choice of words, to meet project requirements, and it's a very intentional choice of words. And when we talk about meeting project requirements, we're not talking, so many times we hear that we're looking to exceed customer expectations, go the extra mile for a customer, do this, do that.